A lot of things that's going on in Nigeria that even Nigerians doesn't know because the media, they ban the medias not to show them, not to talk about it. Nigerians doesn't know. A lot of underground work going on in Nigeria, Nigerians doesn't know. But all I promise you that America have come to stay, they have come to stay, and they are coming, and we are going to work in Nigeria. And Nigeria will believe it or not. Share this video, like, comment, follow me without no reason.
Nigerians, there is fire on the mountain. A lot of things are going down in Nigeria, but unfortunately, it seems nobody is talking about them, and it seems nobody, care neither to talk about them. I don't know why, but please, I want to beg you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you. This is a security matter. Of course, I'm going to choose my words correctly. I want to beg you to pay or listen carefully, please. Now, before we get down to the news, I want to remind you, for those of you that do not know, that the President of America, President Donald J. Trump, visited China today. Today is the 13th day of May, 2026. He wants to have a meeting with the President of China, President Xi Jinping. Now, down to Nigeria. I'm very sure for some of you that still remember a couple of months ago that the US government was begging Nigeria for a military base in Nigeria. I'm very sure some of you saw that news, they begged Nigeria to establish a military base in Nigeria. But unfortunately, we woke up to the news that, the defense headquarters replied and said that no plan for foreign military base in Nigeria. So, Nigerian Army declared a request, saying there is no plan. Of course, you can see this news was published on the 6th day of March, 2026, just a couple of months ago. So, defense headquarters said no plan for any foreign military base in Nigeria. Unfortunately, we woke up on the 20th day of April 2026 to the news that Turkey to establish military training facility in Nigeria. And then we began to ask, for some of us, we began to ask, what is happening? We thought the Nigerian headquarters said that, no plan for any foreign military base in Nigeria. So what is happening? Why are they, allowing Turkey to come and establish this military training facility? And we waved that away on the 20th day of April, just last month. Now, on the first day of May, we woke up to this news that a US Congressman, Willie Moore, has officially asked Trump to take military action against Nigeria. And this is where the heat started once again. After this news, just a couple of days ago again, the National Security Advisor, Nigerian National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, traveled to US to meet with Vance and Rubio. Vance is the Vice President of America. Rubio is the Special Advisor on Security to US government. Nigerian Special Advisor or National Security Advisor traveled to US to meet them. And of course, you see, on the 9th day of May 2020, 2 days after this visit, Nigeria, Tinubu, the President of Nigeria, appoints Special Advisor on Homeland Security. Have you heard that before? That Nigeria have, a Special Advisor on Homeland Security on the 11th day of May. One man, what is his name? Adeyinka. Okay, I have his picture. Adeyinka Fadewa. Adeyinka Fadewa is now the Special Advisor on Homeland Security. And nobody's asking question. What is happening? Why this appointment? Things are really, really happening behind the scene. But the ones we know, the ones we see, the ones we hear, we report. But unfortunately, even Nigerian media, most of them are, not really, really asking questions about all this. And I can tell you that all this is about what? 2027 or 2027 general election. That is all it's all about. They want to make sure they achieve their aim. Of course, we've had in news that America always interfere. Jonathan has told us that America always interfere in Nigerian election. So the present administration is doing anything they can to make sure that they are in peace with the US government before the 2027 general election. Well, I'm going to play a video for you now. A man who claimed that he was in Washington, D.C. a couple of days ago, where they discussed about Nigeria. So you can hear from his mouth and what they said. I don't know how true what he said is, but then that is the report he's giving us. According to him, he was there live. They were discussing about Nigeria in Washington, D.C. So please, take your little time, listen to him, then you do well to drop your comment in the comment section what to think. But I tell you that a lot is going down in Nigeria. Please, listen to him.
I'm back. Look at me, wearing a pumpkin spice shirt today. I feel spicy today. But I also feel good. The next weeks and months are going to be politically spicy for Nigeria as Tinubu tries by hook or by crook to recapture the presidency. That he was declared president controversially a few years ago. I know you have been asking, Offiong, where have you been? Why the silence? I have not been silent. I have been in the trenches, ladies and gentlemen. I have been in Washington, D.C. on April 21st. While many of you were wondering about my whereabouts, I was inside the halls of power at the Capitol Forum, organized by the International Committee on Nigeria, led by Steve Enada. This is the Offiong Okwa Show. That's where I was. Watch this. Listen to what was discussed in the room, ladies and gentlemen. Just take a quick listen.
Offer asylum protection to them and others threatened by this regime. Ensure a free election in 2027. It could be done for the cost of a Tomahawk missile volley. Tinubu was declared the winner with less than 9 million votes in a nation of 230 million.
You heard that?
A free election changes everything.
You heard that? That is not Abuja speaking. That is Washington, D.C. in the United States. And that is exactly why my silence was necessary. These meetings take a long time. You don't scream while you are hunting. You scream once the target is locked. I spent those days in direct consultation with the policy actors who, in my opinion, are rewriting the destiny of Nigeria and West Africa in general. The Offiong Okwa Show, ladies and gentlemen, you should all be proud, was in the room. The Offiong Okwa was in the room when the highest powers in the US Congress compared Tinubu's administration to Germany during Hitler's authoritarian regime lead up to the Second World War. That is my baseline. The world no longer sees a government in Abuja, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I found. Many international observers increasingly see a regime of impunity. That's what I heard. I was an eyewitness to what I describe as the planning of the international hammer against Tinubu. And today, I am giving you the Okwa analysis of these results. The Offiong Okwa Show analysis. The May 6 White House doctrine. Just yesterday. For those who think my trip was just for talk, look at what happened yesterday. This is the result of a lot of hard work by many Nigerian groups. May 6, 2026, the White House has shifted the entire global chessboard. They officially released the 2026 counter-terrorism strategy. And my opinion is this. I'm going to give you mostly my opinion. The era of diplomatic begging is over. No more sending of Remi Tinubu's wife, to go around begging prayer groups in the United States and come and disgrace herself. That era is over. In my opinion, the language and direction of recent U.S. policy discussions increasingly amount to recognition by many Christians internationally that Christians in Nigeria are experiencing targeted religious killings. But here in Nigeria, you will not hear that on NTA, on channels or Rise. My observation at the conference and meetings I attended, they have in political circles in DC increasingly designated Nigeria. This is where they are arriving at now as a global epicenter of terrorism. In my considered view, this isn't just a label. This is a target acquisition document. People have arrived at that conclusion. The Trump administration has signaled just a couple of days ago that if the Nigerian government does not immediately stamp out these terrorists, the U.S. military will treat Nigeria as a combat zone. That is how I read. That's my own reading of the signals. Some people say Trump is taking too much time. Just wait. Remember the Christmas bombing I predicted before time? The policy now has moved from appeasement to neutralization. Tinubu, my message to you is simple and straightforward. The guns are blazing. Era has arrived. Issue 1, Matawale and the culture of the bribe. This is what Nigeria uses endlessly. Here is an additional bombshell I gathered while in that conference. Representative Kimberly Daniels, member of Congress, head of United World Congress of Diplomats, has alleged that Bello Matawale attempted to bribe American officials to soften genocide reports. So they will say there's no genocide, everybody's killing everybody, all those tricks. My take, it is the height of arrogance. Again, this is my informed view. You think you can use the money? I'm asking Matawale this. Allegedly siphoned from Zamfara, where multiple reports indicate you are under investigation, you Matawale, over alleged fraud, and for a 70 billion naira fraud to buy the U.S. Congress. Is that what you want to do? I'm asking you that question. Me. You think reports and allegations surrounding Hillox trucks for bandits in the north that is tied to you translates to favor in Florida? We read these reports. You come and tell us whether it's true or not. Voices like Senator Ted Cruz in that conference, in my opinion, increasingly raising concerns about complicity from people like you. He spoke with conviction at that conference. If I were you, I'll be careful. In my opinion, Matawale is not just a minister, just Tinubu's minister. He's a liability to the very survival of this Tinubu administration. Tinubu thinks all he has to do is to rig elections. It's different this time. Issue 2, the Ibadan coalition. Not long ago, a few weeks ago, people were celebrating Ibadan, all the opposition groups coming together. I think it was April 26th, if I'm not mistaken. A group, opposition wanted to come together to counter Tinubu. But the Ofion Okwasha has to warn Nigerians, keep your eyes open. These opposition leaders in Nigeria are no angels. They're not. It's like changing one shirt to wear another. Most of them are the same people who, what I believe, is the exclusive Sharia systems that fuel this violence in Nigeria in the first place. That is my opinion. These people are not for liberation. David Mark and all these people. They are looking for their own turn at the feeding trough. They are fed from the federal trough before they want to feed again. They're looking for their own turn to steal. That is my own opinion. Nigeria does not need a coalition of the recycled. Are you not tired of coalitions of these people? Nigeria needs external pressure of the Trump administration and truth-telling of groups like ICON that are just witnessing Washington, D.C. Nigerians, don't trade one set of chains for another. You don't want to be slaves to one person, then you leave that one to another person. Issue 3. The other issue that I heard discussed there was about Turkey, the Turkish trap and the Reaper's shadow. By the way, why are discussions around Turkish military involvement in Nigeria increasing? Some are even saying that Turkey is building a military base in Nigeria. Tinubu is pretending he doesn't hear all this. Tinubu cannot be mum about these stories. He cannot be mum himself. In my view, this is a plan B by people around Tinubu and himself. He knows that the Radimo Act is coming to freeze the accounts of his enablers. He knows that. That act will increase pressure on his associates and enablers like Senator Godswill Akpabio, the Senate President. He, in my opinion, is looking for a new master in Islamist Turkey to protect the perimeter while the Middle Belt is cleared. That's where most of the Christians live. This is a geopolitical pivot toward Turkey while insecurity in the Middle Belt continues. But they forgot one thing. The MQ-9 Reaper drones are in Bauchi. As Mike Arnold, that you heard earlier, said, these are hunter-killer